Welcome back to Wanderlust. It's my video blog about Forrest Fenn's treasure, the hunt for the thrill of the chase. So, I'm going to do some kind of free discussions about oh, the thrill of the chase and Forrest Fenn's 200-foot comment. And at one point, I know in other interviews he said 500 foot, but the 200-foot one is definitely well discussed over and over again. And for those who are not aware of it, or just kind of say that Forrest Fenn has said that at least two people, I think at some point he raised the number, but let's just say for the sake of argument, he said it was two people came within 200 feet of, and I'd have to find the exact same interview, find the exact clip where he says it, but I've always wondered, does he say that it is 200 feet, that they were within 200 feet of the treasure chest, or were they saying? Did he say they were within 200 feet of something? But I believe he's referring to the treasure chest. So that here's the poem here. Take a good look at it. Um, I was thinking about it the other day again about the poem and particularly where warm waters halt and taking the canyon down. I have an area that there were at least three or four places, maybe four or five, where there's one, two, three. Actually, there's three that I went to in the last 2 years on my trips, and one I went back to a second place, and I went absolutely crazy the second time, and I actually twisted my ankle, and I almost fell off of a very steep incline, and I got myself in a really, really hairy situation. And I went to a place that it was once I had slipped and realized that if I hadn't been stopped, I would have fallen. It's probably a good 200 feet vertical straight down from there, and I realized at that very moment, the bushes and the there was a small little pine tree about 3 feet tall, and it stopped me. And that's actually what I twisted my ankle on. But it stopped me from tumbling head over heels. And I think if that had happened, I would have been maybe in the newspaper or something as a Darwin Award. But then I scrambled up that hill, and it took me. I came out of there all scratched up and bitten by mosquitoes, and before I had gone down this other part of that area, and it just kind of went nuts all over the place, looking and looking. And the funny thing is that I had originally my plan was to go back to that place and look specifically. I had a picture that I had taken the year before, and I figured I would just be able to go down there, and I did. I bulldozed down there. I was so confident. I was like, it's got to be here, and it's a long drive, and it's hard to get there, and there is a parking area, and it's just about 200 feet down that little area there. And the funny thing is that I had just had a run in with up at the more popular part of the park there, and I tried to walk past these ropes, and I got busted by a national park ranger, and he chased me down and basically threatened to arrest me. And I got pretty lucky. I think he was pretty angry that I went in there, and it's marked as "Do not go in there." So I I did a lot of "no sir," "yes sir," and "please sir, do not arrest me." It looked like luckily, and I think he said something about it was the end of his shift or something, and he said, "I just don't have time for this," and I got really lucky that he let me go. And then I proceeded to walk around that popular area, and I got in my car and I drove down to this other spot where I had been the year before. And like I said, I bulldozed down there, and I could not find the same spot. and it drove me nuts. I mean, I was all over that place, and it's funny. Not it's interesting that where I had gotten busted was not far from as the crow flies. I mean, it was probably about a mile up, and I was about a mile down, and the risk I was taking of that getting grabbed by another national park ranger was pretty high, especially the way I was like a fool running around that hillside, which has some very very dangerous elements. It's not there. There's no quote unquote human trail. It's not. I was off. I was off the. I was in the national park, but I was off the any marked trail. And but the thing that kind of blew me away was that how I had studied that picture, and the other part that I was kind of could not believe, banging my head against the desk or whatever, the wall, was that I didn't take a copy of the picture with me, and so I'm standing there, whatever at several thousand, 8,000, 7,000 feet altitude, on the side of this mountain, trying to find this exact same set of rocks, and couldn't find them, and it really frustrated me because when I later on I took more photos, and later on when I got home I realized that I was right on top of it, but all this moss had grown, and that goes into one of the videos I just did before about erosion, and how it's unbelievable how snow and water and just nature, sticks and branches, and in my case moss, had overgrown that area just in one season. And the weird thing about it is that I have this picture, and I still am seriously thinking about going up there again this year if I can get out there and risk again. Now that I was down that hill, it was all over it. So I kind of have become less afraid, even though every time I have gone down there, I'm just sort of tripping on that there's a bear or something that unexpected, because it gets extremely dense. The overgrowth and the fir trees, and there's big rocks and some boulders and stuff down there, and then of course there's the national forest people, don't want to, that's another thing that I had a big fear of is, I go down there and they see me through the binoculars from the other site, and then by the time I come up to my car again, they're standing there with a pair of handcuffs, which is weird because it's a national park, and I don't know what the rules are for going. There was no sign that said I couldn't go down there, but it definitely blew me away that I couldn't find it again. And I have to admit, it's still. I get how other people go back to places over and over again because you get this visceral feeling, or the clues seem to point there, and then it's like you have to prove to yourself that it's not there, and you go back again and again. And this place, it's so beautiful a place to go that I might just go back there again, to do a couple of things, other hikes that I wanted to do. And I may actually do. There's a hike that I did last summer that's just a wonderful hike, and I may just go up there again just because there were some places that are just fantastic to just sit. And I did that last year too. Is once you get up to elevation and you hike out there, the view and just kind of sitting and enjoying the view from there is just pleasurable for me. I think if I went next year, I would bring a sandwich and maybe a little more comforts. Last time I just went with nothing but my car keys in my pocket and myself. Didn't even bring water, which was a mistake. But so one of the things, it was the 200-foot height person, and I still think that's really really interesting is the videos that I parsed from 2013, and this is video 14. I did video 13 and 12 and 11 were from those interviews from 2013 in April and in October of 2013. And Forrest Fenn does say some stuff about in the later interview And I think that there's two people interviewing him there, and the other interviewer says, how far could an 80-year-old or 79 to 80-year-old man carry this 40-pound load? Now he took it in two trips, and the reason why you would think he would take it in two trips is because a, it's heavy, and 25 pounds, 20, it was, say it's 42, he took at least 20 pounds each. The other one too is, I know in another interview he talks about that he carried it in his hands, which anybody who's ever hiked down any kind of a trail that has some kind of elevation changes and pitches and everything, carrying a box, even though it's 10-inch by 10-inch box, and I have an analog box that I'm working on painting up, and I'm going to show it. Carrying that box like that, having to walk down a trail of any distance, boy, that is really awkward. I mean, for you having to keep your balance, even on slight grades going down or up, holding a box, what? If I was going to be discreet and hide a box somewhere, I would put it in a backpack, and that would be far more discreet. And now you have your hands, you can balance yourself, as you go up and down trail, especially. And then the other part of it is that he's saying he was not on a human trail, and so one, not on a human trail. So I've seen trails and I've followed trails that I could clearly tell that it was some kind of a deer trail, and you can see that a larger animal, a deer, an elk, or something, regularly follow that trail up and down the mountain. And I'm wondering, is that what he's talking about? He's talking about some kind of a goat or an animal trail. And you can find those a lot in the Rocky Mountains, where these animals kind of migrate up and down depending on the weather and the food sources. So that even seems weird, more strange, is that you're going to carry this box. And then, and all this stuff that he had, this box is containing, if you read the list, I mean, there's dozens of items in that box, all 265 gold coins. I mean, are you just carrying those in your hand? Like, like you're carrying water? And if you slip and one of them falls, I mean, they all fall and you gotta like pick them up. So, I mean, or did you just have them like in a Safeway bag or something, a plastic bag, or, a leather bag? But now, you're walking around with this big, heavy 20-pound bag full of loot. Again, that's odd. And it also makes me wonder about a bunch of other things. And one of them is, how far is too far to walk? And that's another good question. So, and in the other video I did, I made the point of, and I think I'm going to go back to that. I'm going to go back to my own videos and then parse those. I think that was one of my plans. And then I'm going to talk some more about this 200-foot thing and how far could someone walk when they're that old and carrying that kind of load. And then I have some other points that I think are interesting, that while I try and figure out where I'm going to go this summer, and I literally have been doing that all morning, um, it weighs on my mind of how difficult is this? How far did he go? How far do you have to go? So that's it for this quick little blog here. I'm going to go watch March Madness basketball. So I think I parse out this video and I'll post it, and I'm going to do some more discussions. I like this line of thought. It's very interesting and maybe even helps some. I think it could be some of the clues that lead to where this chest is hidden or not. All right. So thanks for tuning in. Like my videos, subscribe to my channel. I'm going to have more content. I'm going to try and keep cranking out, and feel free to leave comments. I really enjoy comments from anyone, or discussion on. That's why I do this, is like to spark some kind of discussion. All right. So thanks for watching my video. I'm out.